The Fantastic Four. First Steps, 2025, reimagines Marvel's original super team with a more grounded, intimate tone, blending scientific ambition with emotional vulnerability. Instead of presenting them as fully formed icons, the film explores the uncertain period before their rise to fame, a moment when they were simply four young people trying to understand a terrifying accident that reshaped their bodies and tested their relationships. The narrative highlights how discovery, when fueled by desperation and idealism, can turn into catastrophe, and how the pursuit of progress can blur the line between brilliance and recklessness. The film's world feels vast and uncharted, but its core is deeply human, focused on the fragile connections between its characters and the heavy burden placed upon them as the first publicly recognized superpowered individuals. Reed Richards is depicted as a prodigy whose intellectual gifts isolate him as much as they set him apart. Convinced that Earth is approaching an irreversible ecological collapse, he dedicates his life to solving problems on a scale most scientists consider impossible. His most daring creation is a device capable of accessing an unstable alternate dimension known as the quantum barrier, an ocean of raw, shifting energy he believes might save the planet from environmental collapse. Reed's motives are sincere, yet intertwined with his need to prove that unconventional thinking still has value in a world dominated by corporate science. His brilliance is frequently overshadowed by his social ineptitude, leading to misunderstanding and dismissal from academic peers. The only person who openly supports him is Susan Storm, a calm and perceptive researcher whose intellect complements Reed's chaotic imagination. She respects his vision, but fears his optimism blinds him to the dangers his experiments pose not only to the world, but to himself. Susan's younger brother, Johnny Storm, joins the project for pragmatic, rather than scientific reasons. As a talented but undisciplined pilot, he is recruited to fly the experimental shuttle into the quantum barrier. Johnny's swagger masks his fear of failing those he cares about, and the mission becomes his chance to show he is capable of more than reckless stunts. Rounding out the group is Ben Grimm, Reed's lifelong best friend and the team's grounding presence. Ben's experience as a test pilot and engineer, combined with his quiet loyalty, anchors the film emotionally. Though outwardly tough and sarcastic, he carries deep insecurities that shape many of his choices. His trust in Reed outweighs his doubts, convincing him to join the mission even when the risks remain unpredictable. The story's central conflict escalates with the introduction of Viktor Domashev, a wealthy technologist whose ambitions extend beyond innovation into political influence. Viktor views the quantum barrier not as a source of salvation, but as a tool through which he can reshape society to match his authoritarian philosophy. While Reed mistrusts Viktor's intentions, he reluctantly accepts his financial support, hoping it will keep the project alive. Viktor's presence heightens tension, especially with Susan, who sees through his manipulative charm. Under his pressure, the mission is accelerated despite clear warnings that the quantum barrier is far more unstable than Reed's models predicted. Viktor insists progress cannot wait for perfect conditions, and Reed's hesitation is drowned out by Viktor's relentless drive. The shuttle's entry into the quantum barrier becomes the film's most visually striking sequence, a mixture of awe, terror, and surreal beauty. Cosmic currents twist around the ship, revealing impossible geometries and storms of luminous energy. What begins as a scientific breakthrough quickly devolves into disaster as the dimension's unpredictable forces shred the shuttle systems. Reed's calculations, brilliant but incomplete, fail under the extreme conditions. A surge of energy engulfs the crew, rewriting their biology in ways none of them understand. Simultaneously, Viktor, still at the ground facility, experiences a partial exposure through the linked control interface, an event that fractures his mind and begins an irreversible transformation. The team's return to Earth is chaotic and traumatic. Their bodies begin mutating rapidly and unpredictably. Reed becomes elastic, his physiology stretching beyond natural limits. Susan flickers in and out of visibility while generating fields she cannot yet explain, Johnny's body ignites in spontaneous bursts of flame, and Ben undergoes the most painful transformation, his skin hardening into living stone. Their powers emerge not as gifts, but as manifestations of fear, trauma, and internal conflict. Each character must confront the terrifying possibility that their former lives are gone forever. As the world reacts with fear, Victor evolves into a new kind of threat. His exposure amplifies his ego and convinces him that he alone was chosen by the barrier. His body becomes infused with unstable energy, giving him the ability to manipulate matter and technology. Convinced humanity is too weak to survive, he believes the world must be rebuilt under his rule. He sees Reed's team not as pioneers, but as accidents, living proof that the power he seeks cannot be controlled without absolute authority. Reed, overwhelmed by guilt, becomes obsessed with finding a cure. However, the more he studies their altered biology, the more he realizes the transformation is permanent. The team fractures under the emotional strain. Ben feels monstrous and betrayed, Johnny fears the destructive potential of his own body, and Susan struggles to hold everyone together while managing her own instability. The film emphasizes that heroism is not merely the possession of power, but the willingness to stand with others even when everything feels hopeless. When Victor attacks the quantum barrier facility in order to reopen the portal and unleash its energy upon Earth, the team is forced to act. Their final confrontation unfolds amid collapsing structures and swirling cosmic storms. Each member uses their abilities with purpose and emotional resonance. Susan stabilizes the breach, Johnny diverts energy blasts, Reed manipulates machinery and keeps the structure from collapsing, and Ben anchors the team, both literally and emotionally. The battle ends not with brute strength, but with Reed's attempt to reason with Victor, insisting the barrier does not crown champions but consumes them. Victor rejects this truth and is swallowed by the collapsing portal, his fate uncertain. The team seals the breach, exhausted and forever changed. In the aftermath, the world views them with a mixture of fascination and fear. Instead of withdrawing, they choose unity, recognizing that their shared trauma has forged a bond stronger than anything that came before. Reed sheds his guilt, Susan steps confidently into leadership, Johnny discovers a newfound sense of responsibility, and Ben learns that his value lies not in appearance, but in heart. Their journey concludes with a quiet but powerful step toward becoming the legends they were destined to be, together by choice.